Welcome back to Cribs in the CLE. Now, nearly 1 in 10 U.S. adults suffer from depression. But as seasons change, how do we know the difference between spring sadness or something more serious?
Joining us today to discuss the signs, symptoms, and treatment options currently available is psychiatrist and chief medical officer at the Neuroscience Education Institute, Dr. Andrew Cutler. Welcome to the show, Doctor.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you on the show to talk about such a serious topic. When it comes to clinical depression, can you tell us some signs that someone may be experiencing?
Absolutely. What we're talking about is something more than just feeling a little sad or down or depressed. You know, we all get that way from time to time. What we're talking about is a real medical illness that affects the brain. And so things you look for in addition to a sad mood are physical symptoms: disturbed sleep, disturbed appetite, feeling excessively tired, low motivation, low energy, not being motivated to do things that you previously wanted to do, not enjoying things. And people can get to the point where they feel hopeless or worthless, really negative about themselves. And finally, if it progresses, it can get to the point where people feel like life's not worth living, and they can even get suicidal.
Sometimes you don't always see the physical changes, or you don't always notice that person is losing sleep. So can you talk about the differences in recognizing of me just being not confident in myself?
A bad day or a bad month.
Yeah, and the difference between actually being depressed.
Yeah, absolutely. What you can look for are behavioral changes that are not usual when you're just feeling a little down or depressed. If you're feeling a little down, you can still function generally. But when you notice somebody whose behavior changes, they're not engaging with people, they're not doing the hobbies or interests, they're not attending to their daily activities, and they may even not be getting out of bed or not grooming themselves as much as before. People who start getting real negative about things, more out of proportion to what's going on around them. These are all warning signs.
I'm in a parent group, and a lot of us talk about our children and just say how it seems to be like a pandemic of kids saying that they're depressed in this generation. We didn't know if it's because of they're just being exposed to more things on social media and things like that, or if they're really depressed. How do you know if someone's really depressed or they're just being influenced by what they see and they're kind of like the energy around them is saying, be depressed and this is the way to feel? How do you know the difference?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you're absolutely right that it has been increasing. COVID-19 was a huge disruption in our lives and a big stressor. One of the things we know, one of the risk factors for depression is isolation and loneliness. And we know that social media can be a double-edged sword. It can be a way of connecting people and of keeping track with folks. But sadly, as we well know, there's a lot of negative information out there, and people have been subjected to bullying and shaming. It also can be a way to actually isolate people. They're not actually connecting in person with folks like they used to.
Say I'm depressed. I notice I'm depressed, something's going on. What are the steps? Do I call my general practitioner or do I call and try to find a psychiatrist?
Right. In some parts of the country, there's not as many resources, specialized mental health resources available, such as a psychiatrist. So certainly you can talk to your primary care provider. Depression is one of the most common things a primary care provider sees, and they're very skilled at assessing it and either starting treatment or recommending referring you for treatment. There are a number of other resources available to help you get more help and information. But the most important thing is to start that conversation with any healthcare provider. Certainly you can search for a specialized mental health provider in your area. I've been involved with research for the past 30 years, helping to develop new medications to treat depression. We're fortunate that we have many effective medications, but sadly, some people may not respond to our traditional medicines, and up to a third of people with depression have what we call treatment-resistant depression, which is not responding to 2 or more different traditional antidepressants in the current episode. And fortunately, there are newer options that have been studied for treatment-resistant depression when people don't respond to our traditional treatments. And that's why I'm proud to be here today. I've partnered with Janssen Pharmaceuticals to discuss an FDA-approved option called Spravato. Now, this medicine is different. It works differently in the brain than others, and so some people who haven't responded to others may respond to this mechanism. And it's given differently. You take it as a nasal spray in a certified treatment center or clinic. And while I've seen a lot of people do very well with this medicine, of course, all medicine has the possibility of risks and side effects. So it's important to discuss with your healthcare provider if this is an option for you or your loved one.
Where can our viewers, if they're interested, where can they go for more information on that right there?
There's a website for more information called spravato.com. And then there's a new national resource I want to highly recommend called the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. You can access this by dialing or texting the numbers 988.
When someone's diagnosed with depression, are they supposed to be on those prescriptions for the rest of their life, or is it a temporary thing until your body,
changes, yeah.
For some people, depression can be treated. We do recommend taking treatment for at least a year because that's when the risk of relapse is highest. But some people then can come off the medicine, and especially if they do some behavioral changes, if they are paying attention to stress in their life, getting enough rest, making sure that they get regular exercise, which has really been shown to help. And Josh, I know that's something near and dear to your heart.
Absolutely.
But some people don't have to continue taking the medicine. What the risk for needing to take medicine is the more episodes of depression you've had in your lifetime, the more likely it's going to come back. And for those people, you might have to continue the treatment.
Thank you so much. I think that's a step that someone needs to know. Dr. Cutler, thank you so much for joining us.
Dr. Cutler, thank you so much.
Yeah, we got more cribs in the CLE. Don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back.